and fight fans around the world. Christian here from the Friday night panel here at Talkin Fight. We had just rounded out the end of the Olympic Games here. So, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to have Graham joining us today, but we wanted to take a minute now that the games are over just to run you through the last few gold medals that went out the door over the weekend, as well as to walk you through who won what and what the end medal table looked like. So, jumping right in here to finish off the starting on Saturday, we saw the flyweight final. Saw Great Britain's Galal Yafai, who is now gold medalist, taking home the men's flyweight title over Philippines' Carlo Palam. Now, this win also gives Great Britain their first boxing gold at Tokyo 2020 and denies the Philippines once again, as the country will still continue to wait on its first boxing gold medal at the Olympics. The Filipino team overall showed great talent in Tokyo, though with two silver medals as well as a bronze going home with them. Yafai started aggressively, dropping Palam on a straight left hand out of the southpaw stance in round one. But Palam was overall, he was competitive enough to end the round, keeping it fairly competitive and 10-9 across the board on all cards, giving him some hope going into that second round. The second round was more competitive, but Yafai took it 4 to 5 judges on that particular one as well, giving him a lead to protect going into round three. So what we saw from the usually intense and pressure-heavy Yafai. Now, you guys will remember this is a guy who I've described on more than one occasion as watching a fighter fight and fast forward. So he spent most of this round actually protecting that lead, with Palam sweeping around a bit but coming up short on 4 cards, all of which were 29-28 in Yafai's favor. Fifth card saw it for Palam 29-28. Not enough for him, though, and the gold does go to Great Britain. In the women's flyweight final, Bulgaria's Sofia Krestova took the women's flyweight gold medal by outpointing Turkey's top-seeded Busanaz Kakaroglu in a thorough and solid performance over the course of 3 rounds here. Krestova won a near-true shutout decision here, taking all 5 cards, 5-0 sweep, but losing just 1 card in the second round, meaning that she got 4 cards perfect at 30-27, but now 1 card was 29-28 in her favor. Kakaroglu had a good but sometimes vulnerable-looking run up to the final bout, just couldn't find a way to get the better of Krestova here, who fought confidently and looked stronger and more skilled, with just a better all-around game. The Bulgarian was fairly dominant throughout the course of this entire fight. She kept the same approach pretty much the entire way and seemed to rock Kakaroglu in the third round. In the men's middleweight, we saw Herbert Souza. We saw him land what was probably the punch of this Olympic competition for 2020, dropping and stopping Ukraine's Alexander Kizhniak about halfway into the third and final round of the men's middleweight gold. Of course, you guys will know all about this one because I believe Big Mikey covered this on the Knockout of the Week yesterday with him and Cedric Ben. So I will run through it, though, for those of you who didn't get a chance to watch that episode. Souza was down 20-18 on every card after 2 rounds. And the top-seeded Kizhniak, who was at the time looking like a strong Val Barker trophy contender, probably could have cruised and just protected his lead through the third, playing keep away. But that's not really Kizhniak's style here, and he kept the pressure going into the third. And Souza crushed the attacking Kizhniak with a left hook that just landed just right on the button. And the Ukrainian boxer went down. He got up on unsteady legs. Now, if this were a professional fight and not an Olympic fight, at that point in time, they would have had the option to keep moving, to keep going at that point in time. And it definitely, they definitely looked like they wanted to keep going, but this is the Olympics here, and, where safety is somewhat paramount. And Kizhniak was on unsteady legs at that point in time, so the ref decided to stop this contest, and Herbert Souza's left hook becomes a gold medal. Now, Kizhniak isn't to be discounted here. He's still, without a question, one of the top pro prospects that we've seen come out of Tokyo. And Souza, of course, his stock is going to be massively on the rise after his performance the other day here. The silver medal for Kizhniak is going to be Ukraine's first since the London Games in 2012, when a strong team won 5 medals overall, including golds for Vasily Lomachenko and Alexander Yusk. In the women's welterweight, Turkey's first Sorry, next we saw the women's welterweight finals. Now, Turkey first participated in the games back in 1908, and in all that time, the nation had never produced a boxing gold medalist. That is up until now. Busanez Surmaneli. She really didn't have the best showing here in the women's welterweight gold medal, but she did take it over China's Gu Hong in what can really only be described as really an ugly kind of fight and mismatched. Neither one of them really found a rhythm. The judges had 3 cards for Surmaneli and two even, with Gu losing a point in the second round and also receiving a standing 8 later in that same round. Gu was not really fighting here. She was mostly looking to spoil and hold, trying to neutralize the aggression that comes from Surmaneli. And it did work to a certain degree. She won the first round on 4 cards, but her tactics earned her, a warning from the ref late in the round, which inspired Surmaneli to attack late. And she got a couple of good shots in there. Now, her deduction came early in round 2, and a standing 8 was forced later in that round. Gu really didn't change her approach too much after that, though, although she was able to avoid forcing another deduction. This really wasn't a great fight for either one of these fighters, and, we've seen better from both of them in previous matches here, particularly from Surmaneli, who has been really entertaining to watch up until this point. But, still a great contender, and she's going to have a career ahead of her, so hopefully we see her again in Paris and we see much better from her. But at the end of the day, they're going to be counting how many golds, not how you got them, like everyone else. The women's lightweights saw Kelly Harrington give Ireland their first gold medal at boxing in Tokyo, winning a tremendous final bout in the women's lightweight division against Brazil's Beatriz Ferreira. Now, I did not call this one this way. As much as I love Kelly Harrington here, I've been, for a few months now, I've been calling this one for Ferreira, and I was wrong. The final tally was 5-0 in Harrington's favor. But this was, to be fair, a very intense and competitive bout. And watching this fight and this division throughout the Olympics, it was extremely clear that these two here are 2 of the best in the world at this weight, at this exact moment in history. In the first, Ferreira won 3 of 5 cards from the judges, but Harrington swept the next 2 rounds. Though that's not to say that an argument couldn't have been made for Ferreira, especially in the second. But this could have gone either way. But the judges really just preferred the steadier work of Harrington, who was probably overall better defensively throughout the course of this match as well. Ferreira did land her fair share of good shots, but all in all, it was just it wasn't enough. It was a tactical bout, pretty focused on both sides, with good work coming from both sides as well. Huge amount of mutual respect given by both boxers at the end of this one. But Harrington does pull this one out, and I was wrong, I'll admit it, and Ireland takes home a gold medal here. But moving on to where I'm not often wrong, men's light heavyweight. The gold medal drought for Team USA continues. Cuba's Andy Cruz outpointed Keyshawn Davis of the United States to win lightweight gold in Tokyo. So Cruz makes it 4 gold medals from boxing this year for the Cuban team, following welterweight Ronald Iglesias, light heavyweight Arlen Lopez, and heavyweight Julio La Cruz. And now those 3 boxers are all actually 2-time gold medalists now, each of them winning their golds in 2 separate weight classes. This is the first gold medal for the 25-year-old Cruz, who may have plenty more in his future if he does decide to stay down in the amateur ranks. Davis was competitive, but it's hard to argue with this outcome. Cruz won 4 cards in the first, but the American did bounce back strong in the second with some hard shots, sweeping that round on all 5 cards and putting the fight in the balance for the third round. But that round also went unanimously to Cruz, who just did just a bit cleaner work. And he was just overall defensively, he was a bit too quick for Davis here, keeping him fairly tentative and drawn back for the first half of that third round, which basically Davis just couldn't afford. And it cost him a gold medal. In the women's middleweight, we saw Lauren Price of Great Britain outclass China's Li Qian to win women's middleweight gold, taking a 5-0 win with 4 cards, giving her unanimous scores in her favor. Now, Price, who was the top seed, completes a pretty dominant run through this division, and only really tested much at all in her. Was only really tested at all in her semifinal over Nuchik Fontenin of the Netherlands. Lee, to her credit, though, had not lost a single card at Tokyo up until this point, but just couldn't get a read on Price, having trouble landing much in the way of clean shots, and was basically made to look second best throughout this entire fight. Price was steady in her attacks, defensively responsible, and landed the better shots. This is also a fight is of note, or of historical note, I should say, as it is the very first women's middleweight gold to be won by somebody other than Clarissa Shields. So we can put that in the calendars as well. And finally, to close out the games altogether, we had the men's super heavyweight. And the wait for the U.S. men's boxing team goes on. Uzbekistan's Bakodur Jalilov, who was heavily favored going into these Olympics to win gold, did just that, beating Richard Torres Jr. of the United States, winning the super heavyweight division and closing out the boxing tournament at Tokyo. Torres, who had had a strong run to the final, did better than he had at his last time they had met up with Jalilov when he was knocked out by the Uzbek back in 2019. He had a solid game plan of careful pressure, burst attacks, and staying very, very low as he could get, as he was already giving up a lot of height and reach to Jalilov in the first place. And he looked to make it as tough as possible for Jalilov to establish an easy rhythm with just a jab and set up power shots. Torres did win the majority of the first round, taking 3 of 5 cards, but Jalilov found his rhythm in the second, landing good shots every time Torres got one in and then some. So the length of Jalilov, combined with the fact that he's also very good, not just tall, was just a bit too much for Torres at the end of this. Torres' silver medal is, again, the first medal the U.S. has had in this division since Riddick Bowe's silver back in 1988, but the denial of a gold means that Andre Ward's 2004 gold medal remains the last U.S. men's gold medal in boxing. So there you have it. Tokyo Olympics have wrapped up. After 15 days, 276 bouts, the results are set in stone-ish, I suppose. So let's do a quick rundown now here of the categories, who's going home with what medal, because I know a lot of these medals are going out over a period of days. So get your pencils ready. We're going to jump right in here. In the women's flyweight, gold medal to Sofia Krestova of Bulgaria. Silver goes to Busanaz Kakaroglu of Turkey, and bronzes for Huang Hisao Wen of Chinese Taipei and Tsukimi Nakimi of Japan. In the women's featherweight, gold is going to Sana Airi, hometown favorite in Japan here. Silver to Neti Patekio of the Philippines, and bronze medals for Italy's Irma Testa and Karis Artingstall of Great Britain. The women's lightweight gold went to Kelly Harrington of Ireland, as you just heard. Silver for Beatrice Ferreira, because I'm wrong, and bronze medals for Sudaporn Sidonsi of Thailand and Mira Potkinen of Finland. Women's welterweights, gold goes to Busanes Sermonelli of Turkey, silver for Gu Hong of China, bronze for Lilina Borgen of India, and Osha Jones of the United States. In the women's middleweight, gold for Lauren Price of Great Britain, silver for Li Qian of China, and bronze medals go to Nuchka Fontenin of the Netherlands and Zenfira Magdamoleg. I know I can do this one. You say this name so many times over the course of the last 2 weeks, and you flub it on the very last episode. Bronze medal for Zenfira Magomedlieva of the Russian Olympic Committee. It is what it is. Moving to the men's flyweight, though, Galal Yafai of Great Britain with gold, silver for Carlo Palam of the Philippines, and bronze for Ryomi Tanaka of Japan and Seiken Bibosanov of Kazakhstan. The men's featherweight saw Albert Batagaziev of the Russian Olympic Committee take home a gold, Duke Reagan of the U.S. with a silver, and bronze medals for Samuel Taki of the Black Bombers of Ghana and Laszlo Alvarez of Cuba. In the men's lightweight, gold goes to Andy Cruz of Cuba, silver for Keyshawn Davis of the U.S., and bronze goes to Hovannes Bakov of Armenia and Harry Garside of Australia. In the men's welterweight, Ronel Iglesias of Cuba takes home gold, silver for Pat McCormick of Great Britain, with bronze medals for Ireland's Aidan Walsh and Andrei Zemkovoy of the Russian Olympic Committee. Men's middleweight, Herbert Souza, as you guys all saw that great knockout, with silver medal disappointingly going to Alexander Kizhniak, bronze medals for Yumar Marshall and Gleb Bakshi. And this was probably one of the most entertaining divisions to watch through the entire tournament. In the men's light heavyweights, gold goes to Arlen Lopez, silver medal for the future mayor of Wolverhampton, Ben Whitaker of Great Britain, bronze medals for Imam Katyev of the Russian Olympic Committee and Lauren Alfonso Dominguez of Azerbaijan. In the men's heavyweight, gold for Julio Lacruz of Cuba, and silver for Muslim Gadzhimagomedov of the Russian Olympic Committee. Bronze medals for David Nika of New Zealand and Abner Teixeira of Brazil. Men's super heavyweight, as we just heard, Bakodur Jalilov of Uzbekistan took out Richard Torres Jr. for his gold medal. Silver going to Torres Jr. of the U.S. Bronze medals for Fraser Clark of Great Britain and Kemshebek Kunkabayev of Kazakhstan. So that's our medals that went out the door there. Now, at the end of the day, as much as this is a singular sport here, a solo sport, the Olympics themselves are it's a war of nations. Maybe not a war. We used to put wars on hold for this, but it is a contest of nations. So let's take a quick look here before we sign off at the medal table. Who took home the most gold medals here? And a few of these we've doubled up here for numbers, but running 1 through 15. We see Cuba at the very top of this medal table, bringing home 4 golds and 1 bronze. Second place spot this year goes to Great Britain with 2 gold, 2 silver, and 2 bronze for a nice round look there. Third, we have the Russian Olympic Committee with 1 gold, 1 silver, and 4 bronze medals. Fourth place, Brazil has a single gold, a single silver, and a single bronze. Turkey at the 5th spot at 1 gold, 1 silver. Hometown heroes with 1 gold and 2 bronze for Japan coming in at number 6. 7th place, Ireland with 1 gold and 1 bronze. In the 8th spot, Bulgaria and Uzbekistan, each sharing that spot with a gold medal apiece. The United States coming in at number 10 with 3 silver and 1 bronze. 11th place goes to the Philippines with 2 silver, 1 bronze. 12th for China with 2 silvers. 13th spot for Ukraine with a single silver. The Kazakhs come in at number 14 with a pair of bronze medals. And rounding out the 15th spot, and shared by Armenia, Australia, Azerbaijan, Chinese Taipei, Finland, Ghana, India, Italy, Netherlands, New Zealand, and Thailand, each with a single bronze medal at these games. It's been a long run-up, guys, and it has been a long couple of weeks and a lot of boxing to watch. I hope you guys have enjoyed the Olympics as much as I have and as Graham has and the rest of the team has, putting this whole run-up and this whole Olympic segment together for you guys. We will be, we'll be winding this segment down for a little bit, but we will be back very shortly as we are not far off the AIBA World Championships. After that, we're going to have a lot more to talk about. We are going to have the Commonwealth Games coming up just shortly after that. I believe those are happening in the UK this year in, where's this? It'll come to me in just a second. Starts with a B. But that's happening in the UK. After that, we've got the Pan Ams will be coming up after that. Europeans will be coming up again in another year's time. There will be no shortage of amateur boxing. And a lot of the names that you've heard over the course of the last few months here. Birmingham, thank you, Big T. I knew it started with a B and it just went right out of my head. Thank you. Commonwealth Games are going to be in Birmingham coming up. Just completely gone. But, we're going to have lots to talk about in the world of amateur boxing. And so we're going to be back with the whole Talkin Fight team here to bring you these major tournaments as we get closer to them. So until then, thank you so much for tuning in. Always remember to like, share, and subscribe all of our content here on Talkin Fight. And we'll talk to you guys again soon.